Maylin trudged through the deep snow, her breath visible in the cold air. The biting winter wind whipped around her, but it was nothing compared to the chill in her heart. With each step she glanced at her twin daughters, Lily and Rose, who were bundled tightly in their worn coats. Their little faces peeked out from beneath hoods, eyes wide with worry. "Mommy, I'm cold," Lily said softly, shivering. "I know, my sweet," Maylin replied gently, wrapping an arm around both girls. "Just a little further." The three of them had been wandering for hours, searching for someone, anyone, who would help them. They had faced rejection at every turn. Her heart sank as she remembered the cold stares and harsh words of the villagers they had approached. "No one will take us in," she murmured under her breath. With each crunch of snow beneath their feet, Maylin felt hope slipping away. She had left everything behind to protect her daughters from danger, and now they were lost and alone. The trees around them stood tall and silent, like sentinels keeping watch over their plight. "Look, Mommy!" Rose pointed ahead, her voice breaking through Maylin's thoughts. "Is that a cabin?" Maylin squinted through the swirling snowflakes. In the distance stood a small cabin nestled at the foot of a mountain. Her heart raced with both fear and hope as they approached it cautiously. What lay inside? Would this stranger be kind? As they approached the cabin, Maylin's heart raced with a mix of anxiety and fear. The biting cold had seeped into her bones, but her greatest worry was the safety of her daughters. Why had they been turned away? The harsh words of the villagers echoed in her mind. "We don't want your kind here." She glanced down at Lily and Rose, their faces strained from the cold and worry. "I'm scared, Mommy," Rose whispered, clutching her sister's hand tightly. "We have each other," Maylin reassured them, though doubt hung heavy in her chest. She thought about the journey that had brought them here, leaving their home in search of safety, only to find rejection everywhere. How could she protect these precious girls when the world seemed so hostile? The cold wind whipped around them as she led her daughters onward, hoping for warmth and kindness. Would this cabin be different? Could the stranger inside see beyond their appearances? She feared that even if they found shelter, uncertainty would loom large. "Maybe he will help us," Lily said with a timid hope in her voice. "Yes, my little flower," Maylin replied softly, forcing a smile. "Let's believe he will." Yet inside, Maylin felt fragile as ice. Every step toward the cabin felt like a leap into the unknown. As they reached the door, she took a deep breath, steeling herself for whatever lay ahead and praying for mercy not yet shown to them. As Maylin and her daughters stood at the cabin door, the heavy wooden entrance creaked open, revealing the towering figure of Jasper. He was a mountain man like no other, his large frame covered in thick layers of clothes that barely concealed his muscular build. His long hair flowed freely down his back, and a thick beard framed his rugged face, giving him an imposing appearance. "Who goes there?" Jasper's deep voice boomed as he peered down at them. His eyes, sharp and piercing, softened slightly when they landed on the two frightened girls. We need help," Maylin stammered, clutching her daughter's hands tightly. "It's cold outside." Jasper's brow furrowed as he took in their ragged condition. "You look like you've traveled far," he said, kneeling down to meet Lily and Rose's gaze. "Come inside before you freeze." Maylin hesitated for a moment, uncertain of what this man might do, yet the warmth emanating from within the cabin promised safety she desperately needed for her children. With a nod of encouragement from Jasper, they stepped inside. The cabin was cozy but simple. Wood smoke curled from the fireplace, filling the air with warmth. Jasper moved aside to let them pass, and as they entered, Maylin noticed how the walls were lined with items collected from nature, bones, furs, and more. But it was clear that Jasper had a gentle spirit, despite his fierce exterior. "Welcome," he said kindly as he closed the door behind them. "You're safe now." As Maylin and her daughters stepped inside the cabin, their senses were overwhelmed by the warmth and the inviting smell of wood smoke. The crackling fire cast flickering shadows on the walls, and for a moment they could almost forget their worries. Yet in the back of Maylin's mind, a mix of fear still lingered. Who was this man really? Would he truly keep them safe? "Mommy, it's so warm," Lily exclaimed, her cheeks flushed from the heat. She glanced at Rose, who smiled widely. "I think we'll be okay now." Maylin knelt to hug her daughters close, attempting to share the comfort, but feeling a knot in her stomach. "Yes, my darlings, but let's be cautious. We don't know him yet." Jasper watched them with a kind expression, though his size was still intimidating. "You're safe here," he said again, his voice deep and reassuring. He moved to stoke the fire, sending more light dancing around the room. Maylin felt a flicker of hope blossom in her chest as she observed Jasper tending to them with care. "Thank you for helping us," she finally managed to say. Her voice trembled, but she looked him in the eye. "No need for thanks," Jasper replied, glancing back at her with genuine warmth. "I can't let you suffer out there." For the first time in what felt like ages, Maylin allowed herself to relax, though worry still fluttered in her heart. Maybe this mountain man would bring them the safety they had longed for after so much rejection. As the warmth of the cabin surrounded them, Jasper noticed the anxious looks on Maylin's face. He took a step closer, his large hands resting on his hips. "What brings you to my door?" he asked, his deep voice both curious and concerned. Maylin hesitated, glancing at Lily and Rose, who were now leaning against her, their eyes wide with uncertainty. She swallowed hard before answering. We were lost in the storm. I have no place to go, and no one would take us in," she said softly, her heart racing. Jasper's gaze softened as he studied her weary expression and the small shivers of her daughters. "You're safe here now," he reassured them, and for the first time he knelt down to their level. "I won't hurt you, I promise." Lily peeked from behind Maylin and whispered, "Are you a good man?" Jasper chuckled gently, the sound like rolling thunder through the quiet cabin. "Yes, little one, I'm a good man. Just a simple mountain dweller trying to live my life." Maylin felt a slight relief wash over her. "Thank you," she replied, her voice trembling with emotion. "It's all we could hope for." "Well, let's get you warmed up," Jasper said as he motioned toward the fire. "I can fix some food while you rest." As they settled into the cozy space, Maylin glanced at Jasper again, a mix of gratitude and caution still swirling within her. She felt an inkling of trust beginning to form, though she knew they were still far from safe. Jasper moved briskly to the hearth, stoking the fire to encourage the flames. "Nothing beats a hot meal on a cold night," he remarked, glancing back at the three of them. At first glance, he might have seemed like a fierce mountain man who preferred solitude. Yet there was something warm and inviting about his demeanor. Maylin watched as Jasper rummaged through his modest supplies. He pulled out jars of preserves and some stored meat, deftly preparing a meal with care. "You'll need to eat to regain your strength," he said over his shoulder. Lily and Rose sat on the edge of a sturdy wooden bench near the fire, their cheeks flushed from both excitement and relief. "Are you always alone out here?" Lily asked curiously, her eyes wide as she took in their bizarre host. Jasper paused for a moment, considering her question. "I am most days," he answered slowly. "But I can't leave others in need out in this storm." Maylin felt a swell of gratitude in her chest as she listened to Jasper's gentle tone and observed how he engaged with her daughters. "Thank you for being so kind," she said quietly, her heart warming at his compassion amidst their dire situation. Jasper's broad shoulders relaxed as he chuckled softly. "Kindness does not cost a thing. Everyone deserves some warmth and safety, especially when winter bites." As the smell of sizzling food filled the cabin, Maylin felt hope growing within her, realizing that perhaps they had found more than shelter. Perhaps they had found a friend in this rugged mountain man. As they settled around the crackling fire, the atmosphere shifted from uncertainty to warmth and camaraderie. Maylin watched her daughters nibble at the food Jasper had prepared, their faces brightening with each bite. The flames danced in their eyes, and she felt the tension in her chest begin to ease. "Would you like to share your story?" Jasper asked gently, leaning forward with genuine curiosity. "It seems you have traveled far." Maylin took a deep breath, glancing at Lily and Rose. "We left our home in search of a safer place," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "People would not accept us because of where we come from. We hoped to find a community that would welcome us." Jasper listened intently, his piercing eyes softened by understanding. "That sounds difficult," he replied. "I've seen much hardship myself since choosing to live out here alone. People often look at me with fear because of my size." Lily piped up. "But you're nice. You're not scary." A smile broke across Jasper's rugged face as he chuckled. "Thank you, little one. It's easy to see things differently from afar." As Maylin continued her tale, she learned about Jasper's life in the mountains, the wildlife he tamed, the streams he fished in, and the solitude he sometimes regretted. They found common ground in their stories of loneliness and resilience. "Even the toughest mountains can't withstand a good friendship," Jasper said thoughtfully, nodding as he looked at them. In that moment, Maylin felt a profound connection form, knowing their shared experiences had bound them together in trust and hope for a brighter future. As the days passed, Lily and Rose began to adapt to their new surroundings in Jasper's cabin. They quickly discovered that they could help with small tasks around the home, and Jasper welcomed their eagerness. One morning, while he was chopping wood, he called out, "You two can help me stack this wood. It's a big job for one person." Lily beamed. "We can do it." The twins rushed outside and began stacking the logs in neat piles, laughing as they worked together. Rose looked up at Jasper, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "What do you do out here all alone?" Jasper wiped his brow and smiled down at them. "I hunt, fish, and gather food from the mountains. It's quiet, but I like it that way." "What's your favorite animal?" Lily asked enthusiastically. Jasper pondered. "I'd say the deer. They're graceful and clever." The girls listened intently as he shared stories of his encounters with wildlife. In return, they told him about their life back home, how they enjoyed playing in the garden and helping their mother cook. As time went on, Maylin watched her daughters flourish in this temporary home. They no longer seemed afraid or anxious. Instead, they were filled with a sense of wonder and joy. Each evening after dinner, they would gather by the fire to share more stories and laughter. "Thank you for letting us help," Rose said one night after a particularly fun day of exploring nearby trails. Jasper chuckled softly. "You make my life much brighter. I'm thankful for you both." In that moment, a bond of friendship deepened among them all, filling the cabin with warmth beyond what the fire could provide. One afternoon, while the sun hung low in the sky and the air turned crisp, Lily and Rose played outside, their laughter echoing through the snowy woods. Maylin was inside, helping Jasper prepare dinner, when suddenly an unsettling sound reached their ears, shouting voices from beyond the trees. "Did you hear that?" Jasper's expression darkened as he turned toward the door. He moved swiftly to it and peeked outside, tension radiating from his large frame. Maylin's heart raced. "What is it? What do they want?" "There are villagers searching for you," Jasper said, his voice low and firm. "You must hide. They can be dangerous." Panic surged through Maylin as she called to her daughters. "Lily! Rose! Come inside, quickly!" The girls rushed in, their faces confused with worry. "What's wrong, Mommy?" Rose asked, clinging to her sister. "Villagers are looking for us," Maylin whispered urgently. "We have to stay quiet." "Follow me," Jasper commanded gently, leading them to a small storage room at the back of the cabin. It was dark and cramped, but safe. "Stay here," he instructed, kneeling to their level. I'll make sure you're protected." As he closed the door softly behind him, Mei Lin felt a mix of fear and gratitude swirl within her. She realized how fiercely this mountain man was willing to protect them, despite knowing that he could face trouble for harboring them. Outside, Jasper stepped onto the porch, his imposing figure framed against the dimming light as he called out toward the distant voices with a confident tone. "This is my land! You've no business here!" Mei Lin held her breath, praying for their safety while entrusting their fates to Jasper's strong arms. That night, a fierce snowstorm blew across the mountains, shaking the cabin with its relentless winds. The snow piled high outside, blocking any chance of escape. Mei Lin, Lily, and Rose huddled together near the fire, their faces illuminated by its flickering glow. "Do you think they'll come back?" Lily asked, her voice trembling with worry. Jasper's brow furrowed as he settled down beside them, his broad shoulders casting a protective shadow over the girls. "It's best not to think about that now," he advised gently. "Focus on staying warm and safe." Suddenly, a loud banging echoed through the cabin, causing everyone to jump. "What was that?" Rose whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "Stay here," Jasper commanded softly before rising to his feet. He moved cautiously toward the door, every muscle in his body tense like a coiled spring. He opened it slightly and squinted into the swirling snow. To his surprise, he spotted a figure struggling against the storm, a man shivering and half buried in snow. "Help, please," the stranger called weakly. Jasper hesitated for only a moment before stepping outside into the blizzard and pulling the man inside. "Get in, quickly," he urged. "You'll freeze out there." As the stranger stumbled in, Mei Lin felt her heart race. Who was this man? Would he be friend or foe? Jasper closed the door firmly behind him and looked at Lily and Rose. "No matter what happens, stay together," he said, firmly but reassuringly. The atmosphere thickened with tension as they all faced this unexpected visitor together, their unity now put to the test against an unknown challenge. As the storm outside raged on, Mei Lin sat by the fire, her heart racing with a mix of emotions. The stranger had settled in, and though uncertainty lingered in the air, Jasper's calm presence gave her a sense of comfort. She watched him interact with Lily and Rose. The girls looked up to him with admiration as he shared stories of his life in the mountains. "Mommy, can we help him?" Lily asked eagerly after hearing about how Jasper had saved the newcomer from the cold. Mei Lin smiled at her daughter's eagerness. "Of course, sweetie. We can all help each other," she replied, feeling a warmth spread through her heart despite their unconventional circumstances. In that moment, Mei Lin realized how far they had come since entering Jasper's cabin. They were no longer just lost travelers seeking shelter. They had formed an unexpected family unit. The differences between them, her girl's background and Jasper's rugged life, melted away as they worked together to create a home filled with laughter, kindness, and support. "Thank you for letting us stay," Mei Lin said to Jasper that evening as they all gathered around the fire. "I never thought we would find such safety here." Jasper nodded, adjusting his long beard thoughtfully. "Everyone deserves a place to feel safe," he replied warmly. As Mei Lin looked at her daughters nestled close to Jasper, she felt a swell of gratitude and love. They had found not only refuge but also a bond that transcended their pasts, a safe haven where they belonged amidst the snowy mountains. As spring approached and the harsh winter began to fade, Mei Lin often gazed out at the melting snow draping the mountains like a soft blanket. The days grew warmer, and the sun cast brighter light upon their little cabin. She felt an exhilaration in the air, a sense that life was returning to the world around them. Sitting at the table with Lily and Rose, who were busy crafting colorful flowers from paper, she reflected on their journey. They had faced so much adversity together, yet here they were, safe and at peace. "Look how strong we have become," Mei Lin said softly, pride swelling within her as she watched her daughters work with laughter, the sound ringing with joy. Jasper entered, his hair glistening in the sunlight. "What are you up to in here?" he asked with a smile. The girls chirped excitedly about their crafts, and in that moment, Maylin realized how precious this unconventional family had become. They had created a community based on support and kindness, transcending their differences. "Thank you for giving us a home," Maylin said to Jasper, her voice filled with sincerity. Jasper nodded, his demeanor warm. "You brought life back to this old cabin." As they gathered around the kitchen table, Maylin felt a newfound hope for the future. They had weathered storms together, both outside and within, and now they stood stronger for it. The bond they shared would guide them forward through any hardships ahead, as they embraced the springtime of renewal with resilience and love.